Harley Davidson is in serious trouble. Sales are crashing, riders are walking away, and if they do not act fast, one of America's most legendary brands could be finished. Prices are too high, competition is stronger than ever, and the company is making huge mistakes that could seal its fate. Why are loyal Harley riders turning their backs on the brand? Can Harley fix its pricing, reconnect with real bikers, and survive the shifting motorcycle market? Or is this the beginning of the end? Stick with me to the end because what we uncover today could change the future of Harley Davidson forever. And trust me, the truth is more shocking than you think. What's happening? Harley Davidson was once the undisputed king of motorcycles, a brand that represented freedom, rebellion, and American craftsmanship. For generations, it was more than just a motorcycle. It was a way of life. The roar of a Harley engine symbolized adventure, camaraderie, and the open road. From weekend warriors to lifelong riders, Harley Davidson built a following that was unmatched in the motorcycle world. But today, that legacy is crumbling. Harley sales have plummeted by more than 50% in the last decade. In just the past year alone, sales dropped another 7% across every major market, with particularly devastating declines in Europe, Asia, and Latin America. This is not just a slump, this is a brand in crisis. Financially, the situation is growing worse. Stock prices have taken multiple hits, and Harley's dominance in the American motorcycle market is rapidly slipping. The competition has caught up with brands like Indian, Honda, and BMW, surpassing Harley in sales, technology, and affordability. Meanwhile, Harley's customer base, the riders who made it great, is disappearing. The baby boomers who built the brand are aging out, and younger riders are not stepping in to replace them. Harley Davidson is at a breaking point. If the company cannot turn things around, it risks becoming a luxury niche brand, or worse, fading into irrelevance altogether. But what exactly caused this collapse? Let's start with one of the biggest reasons: the pricing crisis. Entry-level models now cost as much as a brand new car, while flagship touring bikes can easily exceed $40,000 before customization, dealership fees, and accessories. Even the cheapest Harley available, the Nightster, starts at $13,500. If a rider wants a passenger seat and pegs, that is another $1,500. A fully loaded Road Glide can now cost more than $35,000. This is a massive problem. In the past, a blue-collar worker could save up for a Harley, making it an attainable dream. But today, Harley has priced out its own audience. Many lifelong riders who spent years dreaming of owning a Harley walk into dealerships, see the price tags, and walk right back out. Meanwhile, competitors like Indian, Honda, Yamaha, and BMW are offering high-performance bikes for $10,000 to $15,000 less, often with better technology, reliability, and comfort. The question many riders are asking is simple: why should I pay more for a Harley when I can get a better deal elsewhere? Economic conditions are making things even worse. With inflation rising, housing costs soaring, and everyday expenses eating into disposable income, many riders simply cannot justify spending so much money on a motorcycle, especially when cheaper, equally capable alternatives exist. But even if riders could afford a Harley, would they still want one? That leads us to the next issue: the generational shift. The baby boomers who fueled Harley's dominance are aging out of the market, and millennials, the generation that should be taking their place, are not interested. There are three major reasons why younger riders are rejecting Harley Davidson. First, millennials and Gen Z have different financial priorities. Unlike previous generations, they have grown up in an era of stagnant wages, skyrocketing student loan debt, and a brutal housing market. Expensive luxury purchases, like a $30,000 motorcycle, are simply not a priority. Many younger buyers would rather invest their money, buy a home, or save for financial security than drop tens of thousands on a bike. Second, younger riders prefer affordability, modern technology, and versatility. Harley Davidson has remained stubbornly attached to its classic cruiser style, while younger buyers are looking for lighter, more fuel-efficient bikes with advanced tech features. Brands like Honda, Yamaha, and BMW have capitalized on this trend, offering sleek, high-performance bikes with better technology and lower maintenance costs. Third, Harley's brand identity does not connect with younger riders. The rebellious outlaw biker image that worked so well for baby boomers feels outdated to millennials and Gen Z. These younger generations value inclusivity, innovation, and environmental consciousness, while Harley's marketing still leans heavily on nostalgia. Instead of adjusting to new consumer trends, Harley has doubled down on an aging customer base, a risky move that is accelerating its decline. And if younger riders are not buying, what happens to the thousands of Harleys still out there? The used market crisis. Unlike cars, motorcycles do not wear out quickly. A well-maintained Harley can last for decades, often looking and performing almost identical to a brand new model. This has led to a flooded used market where thousands of low-mileage, perfectly maintained Harleys are available at a fraction of the cost of a brand new one. For a rider looking to buy a Harley, the choice is clear. They can either spend $25,000 to $35,000 on a brand new Harley or get a lightly used model for $10,000 to $15,000, often with better customization and fewer dealership fees. Harley Davidson has tried to combat this trend by launching certified pre-owned programs and offering dealer trade-in incentives. But riders are savvy buyers. They know they can save thousands by purchasing directly from private sellers instead of going through a dealership. This cycle is crippling Harley's ability to sell new bikes. Every time a rider chooses used over new, Harley loses another sale. And as the used inventory continues to grow, the pressure on new sales will only get worse. But Harley's troubles go far beyond pricing and competition. Their entire brand identity is at risk. Harley's marketing disaster. The rumble of a Harley was the sound of the open road, and for generations, riders felt like they were part of an exclusive brotherhood. But in recent years, Harley has tried to reinvent itself, shifting its marketing strategy to appeal to a younger, more diverse audience. At first, this might seem like a smart move. After all, baby boomers are aging out and younger riders are the future. But Harley's attempt to modernize came at a steep cost. It alienated its core customers. Instead of reinforcing Harley's heritage, the company distanced itself from the very people who built its empire. The problem is that the younger audience Harley is chasing still is not buying in. Millennials and Gen Z are not just looking for a brand that speaks to them, they are looking for affordability, reliability, and advanced technology. Harley, despite its flashy rebranding efforts, has failed to deliver on those fronts. Instead, the brand now finds itself caught in an identity crisis. Too modern for its old-school riders, yet not modern enough for the younger generation. But marketing is just one piece of the puzzle. What about the bikes themselves? The electric bike misstep. In an effort to stay ahead of industry trends, Harley Davidson made a bold move. They launched their first electric motorcycle, the Livewire. It was meant to revolutionize the industry, positioning Harley as a forward-thinking, eco-conscious brand. But instead of sparking a new era of riders, the Livewire flopped spectacularly. Sales numbers were disappointing, dealerships struggled to move inventory, and the bike never reached the widespread adoption Harley had envisioned. One of the biggest reasons? The price. With a price tag approaching $30,000, it was simply out of reach for the very millennials Harley hoped to attract. Younger riders who might be interested in an electric motorcycle are already looking for affordability and efficiency. They are not in the market for a high-end luxury item that costs as much as a car. Competing electric motorcycle brands like Zero Motorcycles and Energica offer models that are far more affordable while still delivering strong performance, making the Livewire a tough sell in comparison. Meanwhile, Harley's traditional customers had zero interest in an electric bike. These are riders who love the deep roaring sound of a Harley V twin engine, the visceral experience of riding a classic cruiser. To them, an electric Harley was not a real Harley. Without the signature rumble, torque, and mechanical feel that defines the brand, the Livewire felt like a complete departure from what had made Harley Davidson iconic. Even those who were curious about electric motorcycles were put off by the lack of range, as the Livewire offered far less mileage per charge than many gasoline-powered alternatives. Harley's mistake was not just in pricing, it was in misreading its audience entirely. If the goal was to attract younger riders, the price needed to be lower. If the goal was to modernize the brand without losing its core identity, Harley needed to offer something that still felt like a Harley. Instead, they launched a bike that was too expensive for young buyers and too unfamiliar for loyal fans. A more budget-friendly electric option, perhaps inspired by Harley's own Sportster lineup, could have been a smarter move. Instead, the company bet everything on a high-end electric bike that few people wanted. The failure of the Livewire sent a clear message. Harley is struggling to understand who its customers actually are. Instead of setting the trend, Harley was once again playing catch-up. The electric revolution is coming, but Harley's attempt to lead it fell flat. Worse yet, rather than focusing on fixing their core business, the company doubled down on the electric segment by spinning off Livewire into its own brand, further confusing consumers and alienating Harley's traditional base. But it is not just about what Harley sells, it is about who they sell to. The brotherhood is gone. The once unifying culture of Harley riders is now divided. Younger riders often do not feel welcome in the Harley world, viewing it as too exclusive, too old school, and too rigid in its traditions. Meanwhile, longtime Harley riders, many of whom have spent decades supporting the brand, are feeling abandoned by Harley's shift in focus. The divide is growing, and if Harley cannot bridge the gap, it risks losing both its loyal fan base and the next generation of riders. One major problem is Harley's dealer experience. In the past, walking into a Harley dealership felt like entering a second home, a place where riders were greeted like family. Today, many dealerships have turned into corporate-driven sales machines, where riders feel pressured to buy high-priced models, accessories, and service packages. Instead of reinforcing loyalty, Harley's business practices are pushing people away. The sense of community that once defined Harley ownership is being replaced with aggressive upselling and an increasing focus on premium, high-cost models that many everyday riders cannot afford. And let's talk about Harley-only clubs and rides. While exclusivity was once a strength, it has now become a major weakness. Younger riders are not interested in a club that looks down on other brands or sticks rigidly to tradition. They want an inclusive, welcoming community. The problem is that Harley has spent so long cultivating exclusivity that it is now struggling to adapt to a changing world. The rise of mixed-brand motorcycle groups and adventure-style riding communities has given new riders a fresh alternative, one that does not require brand loyalty to feel included. Harley Davidson did not just sell motorcycles, it sold a lifestyle. But by failing to evolve in a way that embraces both new and old riders, Harley is now at risk of losing everyone. And when you lose your community, you lose your financial stability. If Harley wants to reclaim its position as the American motorcycle brand, it needs to shift its focus back to the riders, not just the brand image. That means offering affordable entry-level models, investing in rider culture, and creating an environment where all motorcyclists feel welcome. Without these changes, Harley could become a legacy brand that struggles to stay relevant in a fast-changing industry. The financial crisis. The cracks in Harley Davidson's empire are no longer just cracks. They are deep financial wounds. Sales are down year after year, stock prices are unstable, and dealerships are closing across the country. The company is facing a serious financial crisis, and if they do not make major changes soon, bankruptcy could be on the horizon. The numbers tell the story. In the past decade, Harley's sales have plummeted by over 50%. In 2023 alone, Harley reported a 7% decline in sales across every major market, including the United States, Europe, China, and Japan. In India, one of the fastest-growing motorcycle markets in the world, Harley saw a devastating 55% drop. And it is not just sales. Harley's stock price is struggling, reflecting growing investor concerns about the company's long-term future. Once a dominant force in the motorcycle industry, Harley is now just another struggling brand fighting to stay relevant. Dealership closures are another major warning sign. As sales continue to decline, fewer dealerships can afford to keep their doors open. Without a strong dealer network, Harley's ability to attract new customers and maintain existing ones will only get worse. And here is the harsh reality. Harley cannot survive on nostalgia alone. If they do not fix their pricing, rebuild their community, and create motorcycles that people actually want to buy, the company may not survive the next decade. But even if they fix pricing, there is another challenge. The competition is stronger than ever. Harley Davidson used to own the American cruiser market. If you wanted a big, loud, powerful motorcycle, there was only one name that mattered: Harley. But today, the competition is fiercer than ever, and Harley is no longer the automatic choice. Indian Motorcycles, Harley's oldest rival, is making a major comeback. They are offering modern features, competitive pricing, and performance upgrades that make their bikes just as appealing, if not more, than a Harley. Indian's Chief and Challenger models have received rave reviews, and many riders who once swore loyalty to Harley are now making the switch. Meanwhile, Japanese brands like Honda, Yamaha, and Kawasaki have perfected the formula for building affordable, reliable, and high-performance cruisers. These companies are not just producing better bikes for less money, they are also offering better technology, more advanced engineering, and longer-lasting reliability. Riders who want a worry-free experience are choosing Japanese brands over Harley. Even in the heavyweight touring market, where Harley once dominated, BMW, Ducati, and KTM are taking over. Harley's response to this competition has been slow and inconsistent. Instead of modernizing their bikes while keeping their heritage intact, they have been chasing trends, like their failed attempt at a sport bike, the Bronx, and their lackluster live-wire electric motorcycle. If Harley wants to stay competitive, they must improve their technology. Modern riders expect advanced features like smartphone connectivity, ride modes, and improved safety systems. They also need to offer better reliability, as Harley's reputation for quality has taken a hit in recent years, with many riders complaining about expensive repairs and poor build quality. Lastly, Harley needs to diversify its lineup. Other brands are introducing new models every year, while Harley is still relying on the same aging designs. The days of Harley being the only game in town are over. If they do not start competing seriously, they will continue to lose ground in the motorcycle industry. But Harley's biggest challenge is not its competition, it is time itself. The aging rider crisis. Harley Davidson has always been supported by loyal baby boomers. Riders who grew up idolizing the brand, saved up for their dream bike, and rode every weekend. But there is a harsh reality that Harley cannot ignore. These riders are aging out of the market. The average Harley rider today is over 50 years old, and that number is rising. Many longtime Harley owners are retiring from riding altogether, either due to health issues, financial concerns, or simple lifestyle changes. In the past, younger generations would naturally step in to replace older riders. But that is not happening anymore. Millennials and Generation Z are not buying Harleys. There are three main reasons for this. First, the cost is simply too high. As discussed earlier, new Harleys are too expensive for young riders who are already struggling with student loan debt, high housing costs, and a rising cost of living. Second, younger riders have different tastes. They prefer modern, lightweight, and fuel-efficient bikes over big, heavy, air-cooled cruisers. They want performance, technology, and versatility, and Harley is not delivering. Third, there is a cultural disconnect. Harley's branding and image still revolve around a lifestyle that younger riders do not relate to. They see Harley as a brand for old men, not for their generation. Harley has tried to address this problem by launching new models, like the Pan America Adventure Bike and the electric Live Wire. But these attempts have not been successful because they are missing the core issue. Harley needs to create an affordable, accessible, and exciting bike that actually appeals to young riders. If they fail to attract a new generation of customers, Harley will face a massive collapse in demand within the next decade. The company will be left with a dwindling customer base, and once their core riders are gone, it may be too late to recover. So is there any way Harley can fix this, or is it already too late? Reinvention without selling out. Can Harley find the right balance? Harley Davidson is in a dangerous balancing act. The company desperately needs to evolve, but every attempt at modernization comes with a risk of losing its soul. On one hand, sticking too closely to tradition means stagnation, alienating younger riders, and falling behind competitors who are rapidly innovating. On the other, embracing too much change could drive away Harley's most loyal base, the riders who have carried the brand for decades. So how does Harley move forward without losing what made them great? One of Harley's biggest challenges is updating their lineup without sacrificing identity. Over the years, the company has experimented with different styles of motorcycles, trying to appeal to new riders. The live-wire electric motorcycle was a bold attempt at embracing the future, but it failed to resonate with Harley's core audience. It was priced far too high for younger buyers, and traditional Harley riders simply were not interested. The Pan America adventure bike saw more success, proving that Harley could branch out, but it still did not bring in the volume of sales needed to revitalize the brand. Harley needs to modernize intelligently, focusing on innovation without abandoning their classic cruiser DNA. This means investing in new technology, such as improved rider safety features, more efficient engines, and better connectivity, while ensuring that the bikes still feel like a Harley. Riders do not want an overcomplicated machine packed with unnecessary tech. They want a bike that is raw, powerful, and built to last. Another key area Harley must navigate is their brand culture. For years, Harley Davidson has been a symbol of freedom, rebellion, and brotherhood, but the culture has changed. Younger riders value inclusivity and practicality over exclusivity and tradition. The Harley or nothing attitude that once defined the brand now turns away potential new customers. Harley must figure out how to bring in new riders while respecting the old guard, creating a culture that is both welcoming and deeply rooted in its legendary status. Finally, Harley must find a way to make their motorcycles more accessible. Right now, many riders simply cannot afford a new Harley, and with the used market flooded with high-quality, lower-cost options, there is no urgency to buy new. Harley must rethink its pricing strategy, offering more affordable models that do not compromise on quality. The return of affordable cruisers, mid-range bikes, and entry-level models could be the key to drawing in the next generation. So after everything we have discussed, what does the future hold for Harley Davidson? Is there a path to redemption, or are we witnessing the slow death of an American icon? Will Harley make a comeback or fade away? Harley Davidson stands at a critical crossroads. The next few years will determine whether it reclaims its throne as the king of motorcycles or fades into irrelevance. The brand that once symbolized the open road, personal freedom, and American craftsmanship is struggling to stay relevant in a rapidly changing market. The question is, can Harley fix its problems before it is too late? The key to survival lies in a few critical areas. First, Harley must redefine its pricing strategy. The company has positioned itself as a luxury brand, but that is not what made it great. Harley was built by working-class riders, and if it wants to thrive, it must reconnect with them. Affordable models, competitive pricing, and lower-cost alternatives to the $25,000 touring bikes will be essential. Second, Harley must win over younger riders. Millennials and Gen Z are not interested in expensive, impractical motorcycles that require constant maintenance. They want bikes that are affordable, efficient, and adaptable to their lifestyle. Harley must design models that cater to this audience without alienating the loyal customers who have supported the brand for decades. Third, Harley must fix its dealership experience. Many riders feel that Harley dealerships are out of touch, with high-pressure sales tactics, expensive markups, and an over-reliance on selling branded merchandise rather than motorcycles. If Harley wants to rebuild trust, it needs to streamline the buying process, improve customer service, and ensure that dealerships are focused on the riders, not just the bottom line. Fourth, Harley must embrace smart innovation. The motorcycle industry is evolving, and electric motorcycles are not the only way forward. Harley should invest in hybrid models, fuel-efficient engines, and advanced rider assist technologies to remain competitive. The brand should also focus on making bikes that are easier to maintain and own, something that has been a major turnoff for new riders. Finally, Harley must rediscover its community. The company's biggest asset has always been its dedicated riders, and that community is shrinking. Harley needs to rebuild the brotherhood, making riding feel like an inclusive experience rather than an exclusive club. Events, rallies, and engagement with real riders, not just influencers and corporate partners, will be key to keeping Harley's culture alive. The next few years will be make or break for Harley Davidson. If they make the right moves, they could return to dominance and once again become the most respected motorcycle brand in the world. But if they continue down the same path, overpricing their bikes, alienating their core riders, and failing to attract new customers, they risk becoming nothing more than a niche luxury brand for the ultra-wealthy, or worse, fading into irrelevance altogether. So what do you think? Can Harley make a comeback, or is this the beginning of the end? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the video.